So how do we draw negative pi over 6 radians in standard position? Well, first step of always doing a problem like this is to first draw your initial slide on the positive x-axis. And you're going to label that 0 degrees or 0 radians. Now what you have to do is take a look at the sign. If the sign's negative, you're going to be rotating in a clockwise direction. If the sign weren't there, it would be assumed to be then positive, and then you'd be rotating in a counterclockwise direction. Okay? So since this is negative, I'm going to be rotating clockwise. So what I'm going to now do is label all my 4 quadrants. I know that about 90 degrees or 1 quadrant away or 1 axis away from the 0 radian mark is pi over 2. Now you might say pi over 2, I've always seen that up here. Pi over 2 radians, isn't that on the top? Sure it is, if it's positive. But this is negative now, okay? So this is just a nice easy way to look at it. So this is the negative pi radians, and then this will be negative 3/2 pi. Okay, and then we would rotate back to negative 2 pi. All right, so now what I'm going to do, down here, instead of the negative pi over 2, why don't we just do 1/2 pi, because that'll make it look a little nicer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these fractions. Okay, instead of fractions, let's put them in terms of decimals for ourselves. It'll make it easier. This is negative pi, but this is negative 1 pi, isn't that right? So what I'm going to do is just simply move that over, put in my little 1 there, and then I'm going to erase this 3/2 at the top, and we're going to now put 1.5. Okay, so pi over 6, we can rewrite that, and that's negative pi over 6. We can rewrite that to negative 1/6 pi, and if you wanted, you can plug that into the calculator. In other words, do 1 divided by 6. Now, you don't necessarily need to, but this works out to be about 0.17-ish pi, okay? So we have to figure out where negative 0.17 pi lies in kind of this little continuum, right? So we start at 0, so I'm going to draw another line. Okay, we're going to start at 0, and we're going to have to rotate now, okay, our angle here so that we achieve negative 0.17 pi. If we rotate all the way to this point, that's negative 0.5 pi. That's a 1/2 pi. We don't have a 1/2 pi. We have basically have a 1/1700 of the pi. So it might be it's not going to be half, because that would be 0.25, right? Maybe it's somewhere over here, okay? And I'll make this a little neater, line them up a little better, and that's the answer, all right? This is the angle. So the angle that was drawn here was the negative 1/6 pi, and if you had to find then the positive answer to it, you could just take then 2 pi, because that's the full, and subtract then the 1/6 pi, right, if you wanted, okay? You can get that in terms of a decimal, or you can get that in terms of a fraction. It doesn't matter, right? But, I mean, right, I think that should be fine. Right, 2 pi, that's going to be 12 over 2 pi, excuse me, 12 over 6 pi, minus then 1/6 pi, that's going to be equal to 11 over 6 pi. So that would then be the answer for the positive angle. But that's it. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully that helps. And if it does, give us a hand. Subscribe, like, tell your friends, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.